I do want to talk about, though, is the fact that it's been, what, 4 years since your last album, and they tell me that Keep the Faith represents more of a growth on your part, more so than a change of music.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way to describe it as the first Bon Jovi album of the 90s. It's funny, you know, now that the single's been out for a week and the video's been on the air for a week and we've been away for so long, to tell you the truth, I think a lot of the naysayers expected us to come back with the same old. And the same old was great, you know, then. But this is now, and I couldn't repeat myself. Partly because I'd be bored, and secondly, I really don't think I could write those songs again. You know, I'm not in that place anymore. I couldn't write Living on a Prayer again. It just, you know, it's not me anymore.
So what do you find that you write more about these days?
Well, for the first time with this album, I had the opportunity to go out and realize who I am right now and where I am right now. In the past, it was always album tour, 4 times in a row. And over the course of about an 8-year period, I may have had 6 months off, maybe. And you realize you're writing songs about being on the road because that's your only experience. If the 5 of us went somewhere, we all came back with the same experience, you know? And I remember going to Dublin, for example, on the beginning of the New Jersey album, which was very close to the phenomena of Slippery When Wet. Slippery When Wet is that lucky horseshoe that you know a band has once out of every 1,000 bands every 100 years, you know. A year after that tour was over, I was back on the road with another album. And I walked into the press room in Dublin, first show, and a guy says to me, "What are you doing here?" And at first I thought, what a silly question. And in retrospect, 4 years later, I can still hear that question because I thought, that's a really good question. What are you doing here? And I realized if you look on the inner sleeve of New Jersey, and I couldn't really admit this until now, my hair, for example, was down in my face. I had this long leather coat that covered my body, and I had my back to the camera. And boy, if body language is anything, here I was saying, I don't want to be me, you know? I just don't want to really be here right now. And I kept going and letting people tell me, you have to go, you got to run, you got to run. And until that was all over with, did I realize that I need to step back from it. And that's what let me write this album. And, you know, it's almost a bit of a confessional, and a lot of things have happened to me in this last 4 years. You know, coming to terms with celebrity, coming to terms with having turned 30, coming to terms with being married, coming to terms with having had hits and saying, did I deserve those? Did I really write #1 songs? Did they matter? You know, did they make a difference in anyone's life? And redefining it.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of things that I think a lot of people don't realize, that things that go along with the territory of being a celebrity and not knowing who am I? You know, why are these people kissing and falling at my feet? You know, and it's not something necessarily you want, but it's happening and you don't really understand it. And plus it happened to you at a young age. And from what everybody tells me about you, that is, you're down to earth, you're unpretentious. So trying to remain humble and keep the focus there while this other thing's happening, it's got to be kind of confusing.
Yeah. When I got a record deal, it was 1983. I was 20. I'm 30 now, and so the opportunity was wonderful. I mean, at 20 years old, you're 2 years out of high school, and you're seeing the world. What a great gift. You know, it's good work if you can get it, you know. But I think the idea is such that I grew up in the public eye. You know, not quite a child prodigy or like a child actor that is forced to grow up in the public eye, but not too far removed from that. And it took me this long of a period, in the course of 5 albums, now our 6th album, to be able to, like if you're an artist painting a picture, to step back and to see what's actually on the canvas, you know, before you go back in there and you start brushing away again. We could not have made Keep the Faith the day after the New Jersey tour. I could not have written Blaze of Glory with the band. It just couldn't have been.
When Extreme Close-Up returns, Bon Jovi says ignorance is bliss.
If that's a naive way of thinking, well, so be it.
Welcome back to Extreme Close-Up, E's half-hour interview show with Jon Bon Jovi. You say you believe people can save the world, but first they have to believe in themselves. When did you come to grips with that?
Well, I probably always believed in that. You know, because so many people are brought up to believe from the second they're born, you're never going to make a difference. You're too slow, you're too dumb, you're too white, you're too black. Jesus, you know, I don't understand that theory. I believe that anyone, everyone, should have a shot at that American dream. And if you take it inward and do something, do anything, if I walk out here and you smile at the doorman, maybe the doorman's going to be a little nicer to the cab driver, and the cab driver's going to be a little nicer to the passenger, I think it could start a snowball. You know, and if that's a naive way of thinking, well, so be it. It goes back to being the hopeless romantic.
Hey, I don't think it's naive at all. In fact, I'm thinking, you know, you and I could walk around the streets of New York together and just make people sick, because I usually smile at people. And when I'm in New York, they're like, hi.
She's crazy.
What's wrong with you? You're not from here, are you? You know? So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Before we go, when you look in the mirror, and if you just, say, close your eyes and sort of think of the person you are, do you like, and are you proud of the person you've grown to be?
I think every day you're trying to do something a little bit better. I don't know if anyone's ever happy. You know, I don't think I work hard enough. You don't think you're, you know, good enough ever. But I think that's part of being in the game. You know, I think it's every day is waking up to just try to do something to move in that direction.
But you feel good about where you are now.
I feel good. I feel real good. Yeah, I feel good about what I look at as the first chapter. You know, when I look back, I think the mistakes are minimal, and where I'm going is in a positive direction, and I think the band feels good, and I think that we believe again in that dream and what we set out to do, and actually in finishing the game.
All right. Well, I certainly don't mean to be trite about this, but seriously, keep the faith.
Okay.
Serious.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.